Every day, they think about reaching out, but ego is a heavy chain, isn't it? It keeps them shackled to their pride, whispering, "Don't call, don't admit you were wrong." And so they sit staring at your name on the screen, rehearsing apologies they'll never send. They type, then delete, type again, delete again, because it's not that they don't care, it's that caring now would mean confessing that you mattered. And to them, admitting that would mean losing the illusion of control. They replay your last words like a punishment. The things they laughed at then, they haunt them now. The silence they thought would make you chase, it turned into a mirror. And in that mirror, they see the emptiness they created. Every day, they wonder if you'd still pick up. They tell themselves you wouldn't. It comforts them to believe that you've changed into someone unreachable, because the truth that you're peaceful without them hurts too much to face. They scroll past your updates like it's nothing, but you can almost feel it, that flicker of envy in their chest, that quiet ache behind the screen. They see you glowing in places they swore you'd never reach. And the applause around you, it's the echo of their mistake. They still talk about you, though they pretend not to. The name slips out in jokes and stories and warnings. Don't end up like them, they say. But what they mean is, don't end up losing someone like them. They think about how simple it would be, just one message, one "Hey, I was wrong." But pride whispers louder than remorse. It says, wait, maybe they'll reach out first, but you won't. And that's what burns. You see, guilt doesn't come with sirens. It's quiet. It visits them at night when the world goes still. It speaks in your absence, in the silence between their thoughts. They scroll, they drink, they distract, but nothing silences a conscience that knows it's too late. They wonder if you ever think about them. You don't, at least not the way they do. You think of lessons, not losses. You remember the version of yourself that existed before they broke it, and you're grateful that version died so the stronger one could live. They regret under their breath, but ego keeps them straight-faced, because admitting regret feels like defeat, and they'd rather drown in silence than swim back through their shame. They call you cold now, detached, unbothered. But the truth is, you just stopped bleeding for people who kept reopening the wound. You learned that not every apology deserves an audience, and not every closure requires a conversation. Every day, they tell themselves they'll reach out tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, because it's not the right time, or they're too busy, or they think you've moved on. Excuses make great bandages for broken pride. They see your peace and confuse it with arrogance. They see your calm and call it ego. But deep down, they know that's not ego. That's liberation. You freed yourself from a story they tried to write for you. And every time you don't respond, don't look back, don't flinch, their silence grows heavier. Because what haunts them most is that you never needed their apology to heal. You moved on without the closure they thought you'd beg for. Their ego is their punishment now. It keeps them trapped in the same place where they left you. Only difference is, you found the exit. They imagine what they'd say if they saw you again. They'd practice it, the tone, the words, the timing, but none of it will ever come out right. Because guilt makes the tongue heavy, and you've become a lesson too expensive to forget. They think time will soften the guilt. But time doesn't heal arrogance, it just makes it lonelier. One day, the silence will break, but by then, you'll be too far gone, too evolved, too peaceful to even care. And when they finally reach for you, they'll find emptiness. Not bitterness, just absence. Because the person who once would have forgiven them doesn't exist anymore. You buried that version when they taught you what betrayal feels like. They thought you'd wait. You didn't. They thought you'd crumble. You didn't. They thought they could come back whenever it suited them. But they forgot. You don't orbit anyone anymore. You became your own universe. Their apology lives forever unsent, caught between guilt and pride. And that's poetic justice, isn't it? Because now they're haunted by the silence they once celebrated. Every day, they think about reaching out, but they never will. And that's the sweetest revenge of all. You healed, and they're still choking on the words they'll never say. Every day, they think about reaching out. They rehearse their apology in silence, over and over again, crafting the words they'll never say. Their thumb hovers over your name. Their mind battles between guilt and pride always wins. Because admitting fault would mean admitting you mattered, that you left a void they can't refill. So, instead of saying sorry, they let ego choke them in slow motion. They act indifferent in public, but in private, they scroll through memories like addicts, craving the very presence they took for granted. They type, then delete, then type again, then delete again. Because it's not that they don't miss you, it's that missing you exposes the truth they don't want to face. You were never the weak one. They were. They mistook your patience for dependence, your loyalty for naivety. And now that you've walked away, their silence has become a prison cell with their pride as the warden. Every day, they stare at the door, but the key is admitting they were wrong, and that's the one thing they'll never do. You see, guilt doesn't come with noise. It's quiet. It creeps in between thoughts, in the middle of laughter, in the dead calm of the night when their guard is down. They remember your kindness, your effort, your understanding, all the things they once mocked, now haunting them as reminders of what real love felt like. They thought your exit would be temporary. They thought you'd come back like you always did. But this time, you didn't. And that's what terrifies them the most, not your absence, but your indifference. Now they see you at peace, and it burns them alive. You became something they didn't expect, someone untouchable. Your glow annoys them because it proves that their chaos wasn't needed. You moved forward without looking back, and they hate that the world loves the version of you they tried to destroy. They call you heartless now, but what they really mean is you finally stopped bleeding for them. They can't stand seeing you thrive in a story where they don't exist anymore. They still talk about you, though never honestly. They twist the story, rewrite the ending, tell others that you changed, that you became cold. But deep down, they know the truth. You simply grew tired of performing softness for people who mistook it for weakness. You found peace in silence, power in distance, and strength in detachment. And that transformation? That's the revenge they can't swallow. Because now your happiness doesn't include them, and that's the one outcome they never prepared for. Every time they see your name, their heart tightens. Every time someone mentions you, they pretend not to care, but the shift in their eyes betrays them. They wonder if you still think about them, if you'd ever forgive them, if you'd pick up if they called. But the truth is, you wouldn't. Not because of hatred, but because that version of you, the one who tolerated their chaos, no longer exists. You buried that person with every sleepless night they caused. You didn't heal to go backward. You healed to rise. They thought silence would give them power, but now it suffocates them. They thought ignoring you would hurt you, but it only exposed their own weakness. Because while they were busy protecting their pride, you were busy building your peace. You didn't chase closure, you became it. You didn't crave an apology, you evolved beyond needing one. And now, every time they scroll, every time they think of you, every time their chest tightens at the thought of what they lost, they realize something cruel. You won without playing their game. You see, their ego is the punishment now. It keeps them trapped in a loop of what if, and maybe someday. They keep waiting for the right moment to reach out, but time has a way of making cowards out of the guilty. The longer they wait, the heavier the silence becomes, and the harder it gets to say what should have been said long ago. They thought they'd always have access to you, But peace doesn't reopen old doors. So they suffer quietly, watching from afar as you become everything they said you couldn't be. They watch your peace stretch across the life they thought you'd never build. They watch your confidence radiate in rooms they swore you'd never walk into. And deep down, they know the reason it hurts so much to see you win is because they were the ones who tried to break you. You know what's funny? They really thought they had you figured out. Every move, every reaction, every thought, they believed they could predict it. They built this little game. See, rules, tricks, lies, and they waited for you to play. But you never did. You didn't rush in to defend yourself. You didn't scramble to prove your worth. You didn't fight for a place at a table that was already rotten. You just smiled, watched, waited. That silence of yours, it drove them insane. They thought they were confusing you, but you were studying them. Every word, every shift in tone, every mask they wore. You didn't need to react, you just observed. And observation, my friend, is a far more powerful weapon than anger. They mistook your calm for ignorance, your distance for defeat. But what they never understood was you had already seen the ending. You knew how it would fall apart. So you did nothing. You simply allowed time to prove you right. And when it did, oh, how the silence screamed. They called you emotionless, but you were just focused. They said you didn't care, but you cared enough to walk away. They tried to provoke you into chaos, but you mastered peace instead. Because true intelligence doesn't perform. It predicts. You won without even playing. And that's what's breaking them now. Because how do you defeat someone who never even showed up to the battlefield? How do you outsmart someone who never moved a single piece and still walked away with the victory? You didn't just win. You rewrote what winning meant. See, they were loud, desperate to be seen, desperate to prove. But intelligence doesn't compete for attention, it creates silence. And when the noise faded, all that was left was you, unbothered, untouched, untouchable. Now they whisper your name in confusion. They can't understand how you did it. How did they win without fighting? How did they rise without destroying anyone? They don't realize that sometimes the most dangerous player is the one who folds their arms and lets everyone else expose themselves. They played the short game. You played the long one. They wanted applause. You wanted peace. And now you have both. They're still chasing validation from the same crowd that forgot them last week. You don't chase, you attract. You've built gravity. People orbit you now because you're the one who didn't flinch. They hate that. They hate that their chaos didn't move you, that your intelligence made their schemes look childish, that while they were plotting in circles, you were 3 steps above, untouched, watching them drown in their own noise. That's the cruel beauty of it, isn't it? You didn't destroy them, their own actions did. You didn't need to prove your worth, they proved your point. And that realization, it eats at them every night, because they know deep down they lost to someone who didn't even bother to play. Now, your silence echoes louder than their explanations. Your peace terrifies them more than your anger ever could, because anger they can fight. But calm? Calm means control. You became the mirror they can't stand to look into. Because when they see you, they see what discipline looks like. They see what strength without noise feels like. They see the kind of intelligence they can't fake. And that's why your name lingers in rooms you've never entered. They mention you like a ghost story, half respect, half regret. Because in the end, they realize they weren't competing with you. They were competing with the version of themselves that could never be you. You didn't win by fighting. You won by walking away with dignity, silence, and that unnerving smile. So now, every time your name is mentioned, they freeze for a second. Because they remember, you won the game without even playing it. And that's what makes you dangerous. They thought you were naive, easy to read, easy to break, easy to predict. They were busy laughing while you were observing. They thought your silence was submission, not strategy. But see, that's the thing about people who underestimate intelligence. They confuse stillness for weakness, and by the time they realize it's calculation, it's already too late. You didn't play their game. You studied it. You watched how they moved, how they lied, how they plotted. You let them think they were winning. You gave them a sense of control, the illusion of power. And then you did nothing. You let time play your hand. And somehow, you ended up winning without even touching the board. That's not luck. That's brilliance wrapped in patience. They were so desperate to see you lose that they didn't notice you'd already walked away from the battlefield. They kept fighting shadows, arguing with ghosts, competing with a version of you that no longer existed. And when the dust settled, there you were, calm, composed, untouchable, while they were standing in the ruins of their own plans. Now they whisper about you. They talk about how you played it smart, how you saw it all coming. They're shocked because they thought intelligence looked like noise, arrogance, control. But yours was quiet, surgical. You didn't fight to win, you simply allowed the truth to unfold, and it did the work for you. They called you slow, but you were precise. They called you cold, but you were focused. They called you detached, but you were calculating distance. And when the moment came, when every mask fell and every truth bled through, you didn't even need to lift a finger. You'd already won. They're still trying to figure out how you managed to come out ahead when they were the ones scheming, how you gained everything without playing their little mind games. They don't realize you don't win by outplaying people. You win by refusing to enter their arena. You don't chase attention, you build gravity. You make the world come to you. And that's what scares them most. You never fought back, never retaliated, never exposed them. You just let them reveal themselves. You made their own actions your evidence, their own jealousy your victory. They tried to make you look foolish, and in the process, they showed everyone their true colors. You didn't just win, you let them lose themselves. They can't handle the fact that intelligence doesn't need an audience. It doesn't shout. It observes, remembers, and moves in silence. You played no cards and still took the jackpot. You spoke no lies and still exposed the truth. You moved no pawns and still checkmated the kings. That's why they stare now, half in disbelief, half in regret. You're not the hero of their story. You're the twist they didn't see coming. They thought they were the main characters, but you turned the whole plot into your playground. You rewrote the ending by doing nothing at all. That's not manipulation. That's mastery. And now when your name comes up, it's not in mockery anymore, it's in awe. How did they do it? They ask. How did they pull that off? They don't realize that the real power wasn't in your words or your moves, it was in your restraint. You didn't react when they provoked you. You didn't defend yourself when they lied. You let silence prove your intelligence. Because that's what the truly powerful understand. You don't need to fight for what's already yours. You just need to stay patient long enough for the truth to surface. And when it does, it hits like thunder. You don't need to raise your voice when the facts are loud enough. They're confused now. They thought intelligence meant playing the system. You showed them that real intelligence means understanding the system and choosing when to walk away. You outsmarted them not by being cleverer, but by being calmer. You didn't fight the storm. You became the eye of it. Now they're the ones restless, second-guessing every memory, every conversation. They replay everything you said, everything you didn't. They realize too late your silence wasn't absence. It was strategy. Every time they spoke, you learned. Every time you stayed quiet, you built leverage. Every time they thought they had control, you let them dig deeper into their own downfall. And when the ending arrived, there was no dramatic reveal, no explosion, just realization, just silence, just the haunting awareness that you had already won. You had built your peace while they built their chaos. And now, standing in the wreckage, they look up to you with a mix of envy and awe because they see what they could never be. They lost the game because they never understood the rules. You created your own. You didn't win by outsmarting them. You won by outgrowing them. You turned every insult into information, every betrayal into a blueprint. And when they tried to trap you in their narrative, you wrote your own ending clean, cold, victorious. Now they can't even speak your name without acknowledging your intelligence. You became the reference point, the measure of wisdom, the proof that silence isn't weakness, it's precision. They study your moves like analysts, trying to find where they went wrong. But the truth is, the game ended the moment you stopped playing. Because that's the secret no one tells them. The most intelligent ones don't win by fighting. They win by letting others destroy themselves. They win by doing less, thinking more, waiting longer. And you mastered that art beautifully. They thought they were manipulating you. But all along you were just watching the pieces fall into place. And when the dust settled, they realized the truth they had been playing against themselves. You were already gone. And that right there is the kind of victory they'll never understand, the kind that requires no fight, no noise, no validation, just silence and brilliance. They never thought your silence would echo this long. They thought you'd eventually return, like you always did, forgiving, understanding, soft. But this time, you didn't. You left and stayed gone. And that decision, it shook their entire perception of who you were. Because the one thing they counted on your return never came. You became the lesson they didn't know they were learning. Now, they speak of you not with arrogance, but with awe. You became the name they whisper when they talk about strength they couldn't match. They're impressed, though they'd never admit it aloud. Impressed that you never looked back. Impressed that you never broke the silence. They used to think you couldn't live without them. Now, they can't understand how you do it so effortlessly. They tell others you were different, rare, built different. But what they really mean is you were the one who had the courage to let go first. They watch from a distance, wondering how you managed to rebuild what they destroyed, wondering how someone they underestimated became the standard everyone now chases. They take your name as a golden standard now. Be like them, they say. They never went back. You became the story people tell when they talk about self-respect, about discipline, about power wrapped in silence. The same ones who mocked your boundaries now use your name to define strength. The same ones who called you dramatic now admire your distance. That's the beauty of evolution. It turns your pain into prestige. It makes your name echo in conversations you're not even a part of. They measure loyalty by how much it costs to lose you, and for them, the cost was everything. You taught them that no one is irreplaceable, but some losses never heal. You didn't slam the door, you just never walked back through it. You didn't scream for attention, you taught them. The sharpest revenge is composure. And now, they live with the knowledge that they'll never find that same energy again, because people like you don't return, they rebuild elsewhere. You became myth, a name they dropped to prove they once had something rare. They romanticize the story now. We used to talk, we were close once, they were special. But the way they speak gives them away. There's nostalgia, yes, but underneath it, there's guilt. Because everyone knows, if you lose someone who never comes back, it's because they outgrew your chaos. And that realization will haunt them longer than any goodbye. They admire the discipline you found in detachment. You made walking away look elegant, like it was planned all along. You didn't make noise. You didn't seek validation. You didn't try to prove your worth. You just left. And that silence became sacred, because the world respects restraint, even if they don't understand it. You didn't have to destroy them. Your absence did it for you. They still feel your presence in the emptiness you left behind. They'll never admit how many times they almost reached out, how many times they hovered over your name, waiting for the courage to break their pride. But the truth is, They can't. Because reaching out now would mean acknowledging you've become something greater, untouchable, unbothered, unshaken. You've become everything they said you couldn't be, and nothing they ever deserved. And deep down, they know if they called, you wouldn't answer. Not out of hatred, but because peace doesn't entertain the past. Now they hold your name like a warning. Don't mess up with someone like them, they say. They don't come back. You became the symbol of consequence. The quiet proof that people who give deeply can also walk away completely. They tell others your story like a myth, half in admiration, half in regret. And every time they do, it reminds them of the moment you walked away, calm, final, unforgettable. Your distance became your legacy. You didn't just leave them behind, you left an impression too heavy to erase. Your detachment became power. Your silence became gold. And your name, the one they once dismissed, became the standard for strength. Because in a world obsessed with reaction, you mastered the art of restraint. You became the quiet storm they'll never recover from. They still think about how you did it, how you managed to stay away, how you never once looked back. It haunts them that someone could care that deeply, then detach that completely. But that's the part they'll never understand. When someone pure decides they've had enough, their absence carries more weight than their presence ever did. You didn't just walk away, you ascended. And now, they can only look up. So yes, they're impressed. They may not say it, but they feel it every time your name surfaces. They speak it with reverence, with guilt, with something that sounds almost like respect. You became the one who proved that walking away is not weakness, it's self-mastery. And that kind of control, that's what makes your name golden. They didn't believe you'd ever walk away. They thought you'd always bend, always return, always forgive. You had made forgiveness look too easy, and they mistook that mercy for weakness. But then one day, you stopped. No announcement, no grand speech, just silence. And that silence, it hit harder than any explosion ever could, because it wasn't filled with anger, it was filled with finality. They waited. Days, weeks, months. They thought you'd cave, that guilt or nostalgia would bring you back. But time passed, and nothing came. The same silence they weaponized against you now became their prison. Every second without your voice, your presence, your energy, it became a countdown they couldn't stop hearing. You didn't vanish. You evolved. And they stayed behind, trapped in the echo of their own arrogance. Now they think of you constantly, though they'd never admit it. Every time they see something that reminds them of you, they feel that sting, that tightness in the chest that whispers, you ruined something real. They tell themselves they don't care, that they've moved on, but their body betrays them. The mind forgets, the soul doesn't, and your name has become a pulse inside their guilt. They speak of you now with respect they never gave you when they had you. They call you disciplined, cold, admirable. They say they don't go back, with a strange mix of awe and fear. Because the same people who thought you'd always be available now use your name as a warning, a golden standard for self-control. You became a myth to them, the one who mastered detachment, who walked away and never looked over their shoulder. Your distance is their punishment, your restraint their reminder. They talk about you like a ghost. They can't exorcise half nostalgia, half admiration. They never went back, they say, shaking their heads like it's something sacred. You taught them that walking away isn't about hate, it's about self-respect. You proved that silence can be power, that peace can be lethal, that indifference can humble the proud. They still don't understand how you did it, how you stopped missing them, how you stopped caring, how you stopped reaching out. But that's the thing, you didn't stop out of spite, you stopped out of growth. There comes a point when someone realizes they can't keep pouring love into hands that only know how to take. And when that realization hits, it changes everything. You learned that peace is louder than revenge. Their admiration now tastes like regret. You live rent-free in their mind, not as a memory, but as a measurement. Every new person they meet is compared to you. Every argument, every affection, every silence, it all circles back to you. Because your absence created a benchmark for what they lost, and deep down, they know they'll never find it again. You became the example their friends bring up in conversations. Remember them? Someone says. They never went back. The tone changes, softer, more reverent. It's no longer gossip, it's legend. You turned pain into power, and now your story carries weight. Your name has become an adjective for strength, a synonym for standards. They try to imitate your calm now, the same calm they once called cold. They try to mirror your silence, your boundaries, your detachment, but it never fits them. Because theirs comes from fear, yours came from mastery. They isolate themselves to look powerful. You isolate yourself to stay peaceful. There's a difference, and the world can feel it. Everywhere they go, they see reflections of what they lost. They scroll through social media and see pieces of your energy, the way you smile now, the quiet confidence in your presence. It unsettles them, because you were supposed to break. But instead, you built yourself into something untouchable. You became what they said you couldn't be, and that contradiction destroys them. They wronged you because they thought you would never fight back. They mistook your silence for submission, your patience for weakness. They believed kindness meant you were harmless. And for the longest time, you let them believe it because you knew that the loudest storms begin in still air. They broke your boundaries and then called you distant when you rebuilt them. They took your empathy, drained it, and left you questioning your worth. They smiled while you burned yourself out trying to keep them warm. And when you finally stopped, they called you cold. That's the irony of givers when they finally take their power back. The world calls it cruelty. They wanted your forgiveness, not your freedom. They wanted you tethered, predictable, controlled. But when you began to heal, they panicked. Healing meant they could no longer use your pain as leverage. And so they began to whisper, "You've changed." No, you just stopped bleeding for people who sharpen the knife. They will tell others that you became a villain. Let them, because they can't stand the story where you win. They built their identity around your obedience, and your rebellion exposes their fragility. They don't hate you for being different now. They hate you for surviving without them. They will call your silence arrogance, your peace hostility. That's what guilty people do. They rename your boundaries to justify their discomfort. But your calm is not an act of vengeance, it's an act of evolution. You've outgrown the chaos they called connection. They will flinch when you no longer answer their messages, when your smile no longer bends in their direction. That's when they'll realize the truth. They never broke you, they only broke access to you. And that is the version of you they never wanted to meet, the version that no longer entertains the unworthy. You used to chase explanations. Now you let confusion be their punishment. You used to beg to be understood. Now you understand yourself too deeply to care. And that shift, that quiet, unshakable clarity will terrify them more than anger ever could. They will whisper that you're dangerous. And in a way you are. Not because you harm, but because you've mastered restraint. Because you can stand in front of everything that once destroyed you and feel nothing but composure. That kind of strength is unpredictable, and unpredictability is what terrifies the manipulators. They will try to provoke the old version of you, the one who explained, forgave, returned. But that version is gone. You buried them with every sleepless night they caused, every lie they told, every apology that came too late. What stands in their place now is not bitterness, it's precision. You move differently when you've learned the cost of caring too freely. And soon, they will see it. The side of you they never wished to awaken, the one who doesn't react, doesn't chase, doesn't need to prove anything. The one who learned that peace can be sharp, that silence can scream louder than rage. They will learn that you were never their victim, you were their lesson. They wronged you, and they did it with confidence. They thought you'd stay quiet, predictable, small. They thought their betrayal would break you just enough to keep you obedient. But pain has a strange way of reprogramming people. It teaches them who never to trust again. They took advantage of your heart because it was open, not because it was weak. You cared out loud in a world that mistakes empathy for invitation. They fed on that kindness until there was nothing left but questions and silence. Then they blamed you for the quiet they caused. They believed they could guilt you into staying. That's how control works. It thrives on your loyalty. They used your decency as a leash. But when you finally cut it, they were stunned. Because the one thing manipulators never prepare for is someone who stops caring. They called your detachment cruel. But it wasn't cruelty, it was clarity. You finally saw what they were. You stopped trying to fix what was never broken in you, only in them. That's when you became dangerous. Because peace, after chaos, is the loudest form of power. They whisper now. They say you changed. And they're right, you did. You grew sharper, colder, quieter. You started speaking in actions instead of explanations. You learned that walking away doesn't make you heartless, it makes you wise. They used to look down on you. Now they look for you. The same people who dismissed your worth now replay your absence like a song they can't stop hearing. Because your absence became their consequence. They wronged you, thinking you'd stay broken. But you rebuilt yourself in silence. Every scar became a blueprint. Every betrayal, a calculation. You learned the kind of strength that doesn't need an audience. You learned that peace without revenge is the purest kind of dominance. They thought they were teaching you a lesson. They were just not the one they intended. They taught you that love without respect is manipulation, that apologies without change are theater, that sometimes walking away is the only way to win. Now you move differently. You speak less. You see more. You observe without absorbing. You've stopped explaining your worth to people allergic to accountability, and that composure, it unnerves them, because you've become everything they swore you'd never be. Untouchable. They ask around about you now. They frame their curiosity as concern, but it's envy disguised as care. They want to know how you got so calm, how you learned to smile without them. The truth? You stopped negotiating your peace for temporary people. They hate that your silence doesn't chase. They hate that you don't correct their lies. They hate that you stopped participating in your own exploitation. You used to give them power every time you tried to prove your innocence. Now, your indifference is the verdict. They'll tell others you became cold, but you didn't. You became calculated. Because warmth without boundaries isn't love, it's self-destruction. You learn to protect your energy like currency. You spend it only where it multiplies. They will feel it soon, the absence of your understanding, your comfort, your presence. They'll realize you weren't replaceable. You were the foundation they mistook for decoration. They'll try to rebuild with lesser souls, and every copy will collapse under comparison. They will finally see what they created. The calm after betrayal is not peace, it's evolution. You evolve beyond the reach of their chaos. You learn to let karma take your place in the conversation. You no longer seek closure. You watch it arrive. You used to explain yourself. Now you observe who deserves an explanation at all. You used to take it personally when people changed. Now you understand some people never were who they pretended to be. Their masks just slipped when you stopped serving their narrative. They wronged you thinking they'd forget you, but you left fingerprints on their conscience. They see your face in their guilt, hear your name in every quiet moment they try to fill with noise. They can't escape what they created. You became the echo of their own actions. They tried to shame you for healing differently. But healing doesn't look holy. Sometimes it looks cold. Sometimes it looks like deleting messages, like saying no, like disappearing without goodbye. Healing looks like reclaiming the power you once handed over freely. They don't realize you stopped fighting them because you already won. You won when you stopped needing their validation. You won when you stopped proving your worth to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You won when you chose distance over drama. They'll say you moved on too easily. But moving on wasn't easy, it was necessary. You outgrew the conversation, the tension, the guilt. You outgrew people who can't meet you where peace lives. And now they'll call that growth arrogance, because they can't admit they stayed small. They will see your success and pretend to be happy for you. But envy is a quiet disease. It hides behind claps that sound hollow. They'll celebrate your wins in public, but privately they'll ask, how did they do it? The answer is simple: you healed in silence. They used to drain you. Now they study you. They analyze your calm like a crime scene, looking for evidence of revenge. But there isn't any. You didn't get revenge, you got better. And nothing tortures a guilty soul more than watching the one they broke stay unbothered. They'll talk about you like you're a warning, not a memory. Don't cross them, they'll say. But the truth is, you never became dangerous. They just learned the cost of mistaking your kindness for permission. You simply stopped giving discounts on your worth. They will keep pretending they're fine. But every time your name surfaces, so will their discomfort. That's what happens when people realize the villain they created refuses to play the role they wrote. You stop performing. They're still acting.